the one thing that gets me is like how upset men get about nocturnal emissions, right? Wet dreams in India. Like they think it's like this horrible thing that's happening and they want to stop it. And I'm like, this is a normal physiologic thing your body does. It's going to get rid of your ejaculate if you're not ejaculating regularly, particularly when you're younger. Everyone has wet dreams. It's completely normal. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And it's probably a sign of normal health, right? Like it's probably a good thing. I remember when I first started seeing those messages, I was like, what? Like they think this is bad? They think they have to stop this? Like it's so sad that their parents aren't telling them, no one's talking about this. It's tragic.
Actually, there's a syndrome in India. It's called Dhat syndrome, and the idea is that if you lose semen, you start losing your memory, or you start, I don't know. There's just so many different ideas that people have about how your semen is linked to your health. And that is why there is so much paranoia around losing your semen, either via masturbation or via nocturnal emissions. And it's actually really disheartening because every time we do try to counter this or we try to debunk this misinformation, essentially, there's a lot of religious push around this idea. And we get a lot of flack from religious, very pro-religion sort of people who are like, you're corrupting the youth of India. It's a very large cultural phenomena over here. And it leads to so much unnecessary stress for young people around preserving their semen, or even semen retention, where it goes on to even more extreme ends of the spectrum. That it's a little bit heartbreaking.
It really is. And I will tell you from a medical standpoint, there is no scientific evidence that proves that semen retention is going to improve any sort of physiologic parameter like testosterone. It's not going to improve cognitive function. If you don't ejaculate, your body will take care of it. You're going to have a nocturnal emission or your body's going to resorb it. And so you shouldn't feel guilty, like if you have a wet dream because it's your body. Like there's nothing you could do about it, and your body's going to take care of it, however it takes care of it. And then, secondly, I understand these religious beliefs. I think a lot of misinformation around sexual health is clouded around these very strong beliefs in religion, and I understand that people may feel strongly about that, and that's okay. But when it's hurting you as an individual, that's where I say, we have to like take a step back. And like some people are working so hard to retain semen that they're creating pelvic floor dysfunction, right? They're tensing up their pelvic floor. They're having pain with ejaculation, having pain with orgasm. They're having constipation. They're going to the bathroom all the time. Like, and this is all because they think they have to do this thing, right? And it's okay to sort of step back and say, well, if this is harming my body in other ways, it can't be right? This can't be the way to go. But yeah, there is no scientific evidence that shows that semen retention has any value for your physical body, your mental health, your mental clarity. That's very individualized. And there's no, like, I've heard the saying, like, one drop of semen is like a pint of blood. I mean, that's not even physiologically accurate, right? That's not accurate. So if anyone watching feels this way, I've made plenty of content. I know Tanea has as well, like about semen retention. So check it out. We've talked about it. I've debunked the studies. I've looked at the studies. I've read the studies. So feel free to check that out.
I think how I try to explain it to the younger people I work with is that if your nose is full of snot, it's going to start leaking on its own. You either go blow up the snot or you just let it come out naturally. And this is the same thing with, with semen. You either you masturbate or you have sex, and it comes out on its own. It comes out via your intervention, or it comes out on its own. It is going to come out either way.
Yeah, or you're going to swallow it, right? But it's still there. It's not like going to go away, right? What are some other myths about male sexual health that you think you're seeing a lot of?
Definitely a lot of paranoia around the size. So a lot of people are extremely worried about the size of their penis and are often consuming unregulated supplements or, pills they're finding on shady websites on the internet, which we have no idea what they contain. And essentially trying to increase the size of their penis, either via things like this or through even more dangerous things like hanging weights on their foreskin, or using techniques that absolutely not only do not work, but can also cause serious injury to the penis. So, and I'm seeing a lot of like these male wellness bro type people who promote these things without understanding the consequences of what happens right here. And it's extremely dangerous. But the idea that is sold to men is again that, the larger the penis you have, the more you'll be able to please your partner. And to that, I want to say is that if you're having an itch on your cheek and you keep scratching your back, you're still going to feel itchy. And here the cheek is actually the clitoris and the back is the vagina. If you keep focusing on the vagina, if you keep focusing on the vagina and don't go to the clitoris, it doesn't matter how long a stick you use to scratch your back. Your cheek is still going to be itchy. A lot of people are extremely worried because of the images or the ideas that are sold via popular media or pornography, of course. And the other dangerous one that we see very often in India these days is people having a lot of Viagra for enhancing sexual performance. A lot of people have this conflated idea in their head that Viagra is actually linked to sexual performance. And it's a performance enhancer as opposed to it is something that helps people who struggle to either have or maintain an erection. And I'm using the brand name here because that is the most identifiable thing over here in my part of the world. And very often what is happening is we're seeing more and more of cases of priapism in India where you need surgical resolution, which is where somebody who has had a sustained erection for a very long time and it's not going down and they're suffering from ill effects to their health because of it. Do you want to tell us more about priapism, by the way? This is more your area.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. So one, I would say if you take prescribed dose of Viagra, the risk of priapism is extremely low. So I want men who are taking it right now for the purposes of obtaining a more firm erection because they're having trouble. It's very low when used as prescribed. But when you take more than you need or you take unregulated options that may have a lot of those medications, that's where we're seeing potentially priapism. And priapism is an erection that lasts longer than 4 hours without sustained, sexual stimuli. And so this becomes a problem because the blood flow is now not moving in or out of the penis. And that means that then you're seeing the oxygenation to the tissues is suffering. And so over time, that can create fibrosis, scarring, real problems to the penis that can be permanent. And so that's why you need to get to the hospital immediately to get it drained or to get that blood removed from the penis so that you can get normal blood flow again to the penis. And after 4 hours, we start seeing those problems become slowly irreversible. So it is a problem. It is a problem to take more than you need. If you're having great erections, more is not going to be better, meaning taking a performance enhancing drug like a high dose of sildenafil or Viagra is not going to be better. But if you're having weaker erections, then that's the time where you can use it. And so I think, yes, absolutely. And then these unregulated supplements that people put on, very often they do have these medications in them. Very often they have like pig's testosterone or other things in them that, not everyone should be taking. And so if you're seeing a benefit from them, either one, they're using stuff that is pharmacologic grade that they're not labeling, or two, your brain is very powerful and it makes you think something's going to work. 40% of the time, if I give you a sugar pill and tell you it's going to make your erections better, erections are going to be better because your brain believes it to be.
It's my little girl toy.
It's so cute. So yeah, your brain is so powerful. And so it believes what you tell it. And so it will make your erections physiologically better. And then you'll be like, oh, this pill is the best. It's just your brain. It's just your brain doing the work. So,
and I think that kind of information is so important to be told to young people simply because, why do I keep saying young people? Being told to people because there is just so much abuse of drugs like this that happens across the world, and literally nobody tells you about what it's doing. I mean, people like you do, of course, but in like larger mainstream media on television and stuff like this, we need health advisories about this. And it's a shame that, people actually learn by suffering.
Yeah. And the other problem is I think very big celebrities will sometimes endorse these products as well. And then you're like, well, this person who I love watching on movies or TV is endorsing this product. Of course it's going to work. They're not doctors, guys. They're not doctors, and they're not. And sometimes you'll see doctors actually endorsing products, but you got to do your due diligence and sort of realize, like, is there science behind whatever they're endorsing, and is it good science? And that may require you to do some investigation or ask somebody who knows about science to help you, you know?
Absolutely.
What about masturbation? What are some myths about masturbation?
Oh, this is a hot one in my DMs. One of the biggest myths around masturbation that I have seen in this part of the world is that it is morally wrong. Masturbating is abnormal or it makes you a pervert. And the only kind of holy sexual interaction or approved by God sexual interaction you can have is the kind that you have with your lawfully wedded wife for the purpose of making a baby. Everything else is bad. So I think it has led to a lot of shame around masturbation or even pleasure for a lot of people. And this in turn is linked with all sorts of ill health effects, like we discussed in that syndrome. A lot of people in the gym community in India believe that, I don't know if this is a global thing, but this is definitely a thing over here, that when you masturbate, you lose a lot of testosterone and that can affect your gains at the gym. So a lot of gym trainers actually tell their clients that don't masturbate when you're trying to build. Or things like if you masturbate too much, you know, the old stuff like you'll go blind or you start growing hair on your palms. It's just so rampant, this culture around shaming people from exploring pleasure in their bodies, that it is so damaging. Even when you try to counter it or you try to speak to people about it, more often than wanting to engage with the science, they will keep wanting to engage with the stuff that has been told to them about it and how to break it down scientifically to them over and over and over again. And I think all of the educators, again, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in India, in this community, really, really struggle with this.
If you enjoyed this clip from the Rena Malik MD podcast and you want to see more, check out the full episode with Dr. Tanaya Narendra right here.